with Meredith Bernard, and we are going to kind of dive into a little bit about her story and all the happenings in North Carolina. So I can't wait to talk to you this morning. But Meredith, if you could maybe just kind of start us off by telling us a little bit about your background and a little bit about your story to kind of get things rolling.
Sure. Thanks for having me on, Allie. I'm excited to be here. Like I said, I just came in from outside, so I know I look a hot mess, but this is my life. It's always something going on. So I am a farm wife, obviously. Farm wife, farmer. I kind of, started owning that label, I guess. I don't really like labels, but that term a few years ago. Mom of two, so I have two kids. Austin, age 9, that's my girl, and then Wesley is 11. He'll be 12 next month, though. And my husband Lawrence and I, we live on a beef cattle operation right on the central North Carolina Virginia line, but we're in North Carolina. So we raise Angus cross commercial cattle, and we raise all of our own hay. In the past few years, we've started dabbling in some corn and some beans a little bit. Got our first new to us, very old combine, kind of got her going and brought her back to life. And that's been an interesting endeavor, but yeah, so we farm, and I also homeschool. It's been 6 years ago now, I quit my corporate job. So when I went to school for animal science, I got out and I went into feed sales for 10 years, and I was on the road with that. And it just got to be a lot. The corporate demands got to be a lot, having to be gone away from home a lot. My husband farms by himself. So we don't have any other help. So it just got to be a lot. And we both decided that I would quit and come home, and it's been an interesting little ride since then. I don't regret any of it. It's just been, it's kind of taken different twists and turns, but it's been good. It's been good for our family, I think. And I'm glad to be here now and playing a larger role on the farm, and of course sharing a lot of that on social media. So
yeah, and that's
in a nutshell.
Yeah. So, and that's, I think, which I kind of want to talk on the whole social media thing here in a minute, but kind of going back just to kind of lay things out for some people here. So you went to school and got your degree in animal science. Did you know, like, you wanted to go into sales right out of school, or how did that kind of come about?
No, I did not. In fact, that was probably the last thing on my mind. I actually didn't know what I wanted to do. My mom and dad both worked at NC State, and so I grew up kind of over there on the campus, and it was just always kind of understood that's probably where I would go. It's where I wanted to go, but I didn't really know I never had this. I wasn't one of those kids that, from age 5 knew what they wanted to do with their life.
Right.
So I had a really good friend that I grew up with in church, and she was a year ahead of me, and she started in the animal science program, and I was watching her and listening to her, and I was like, well, that looks like fun. And in high school, I got into horses and horseback riding with some friends, and I found out that they had an equine program, and you could work with the horses and possibly live at the equine unit. And that's like where my mind went. I was like, yeah, I want to do that. I want to go to college and play with horses.
Right.
So I did, and I ended up working out there at the research unit, and I worked for the horse commodity coordinator. This is long. They basically were over the North Carolina 4-H horse program.
Okay.
So I worked in that office and got to help with the 4-H show every year while I was in school. And so when it came time to graduate, I still didn't know what I was going to do. A lot of the push and a lot of the jobs on the job board and Polk Hall, which was our animal science building, were either swine related or poultry related, because North Carolina, those are huge industries.
Right.
In North Carolina.
Right.
I didn't want to do any of that. I was like, no, I don't want to move down east to work in a hog operation. I don't want to work with poultry. What am I going to do? So as it turned out, I kind of went 2 directions. Because I didn't know what I was going to do, I decided that maybe I would try teaching. I decided that I would maybe try ag ed and try to find a school where I could actually teach animal science. So I immediately after I graduated with my undergrad, I went into grad school. I worked for a small vet practice. I managed a small vet practice, so I did that. I lived at home. I never lived on campus, so I was able to stay at home and commute and keep that job and go to school online and at night. And so I got that degree in 2 years. And then when it came time to get out of that program, there was no jobs that fit
Oh,
what I
no.
wanted to
Yeah.
do. So there was plenty of horticulture teaching positions or shop, but there was no animal science or biotech near where I kind of wanted to stay, in the central part of the state near my family. So actually kind of goes back to working through college. I made some good connections, and the man that I had worked for found out about a sales job it was only like 10 counties. So it wasn't like, I had this, and I envisioned a sales job. When I heard the word sales, I just immediately thought TV commercial car salesman.
Right.
I was like, that's not me. I'm not that person, and I'm not a pushy person. I'm just anyway. So that's what I had in my head that sales meant. But he told me about that job, so I went and interviewed for it, and I was like, this actually sounds pretty fun. I don't think this will be too bad.
Right.
So I took that job, and I was with that one company, a very small company, for 2 years, and then a larger company came and kind of stole me away. But it was good. It was a good move for me, and it was a great company to work for, and I loved it. Like it was the perfect job. A lot of people said, you have the perfect job. Like, it was fun. I got to be on the road a lot. I kind of set my own hours. It was a lot of work. It was a lot of going and doing, but it was very flexible, and it was something different every day. And I got to be on the farms, and I got to kind of use my teaching degree because I would do a lot of grower meetings and, put on a lot of presentations. So I still kind of got to teach.
Right.
But more specific, obviously, it was all nutrition related, but it was great. It was great until it just was time to do something else.
Right.
So.
And so so you were on the road, constantly traveling, kind of had this, high-paced, high-energy job, and then you transitioned back home. What was the hardest challenge in that transition when you were kind of said, okay, I'm done with this life, ready to do this life?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the hardest part was just trying to find a new normal, and how to reallocate my time. And I guess I probably did feel kind of lost for a little bit. Like, I had all these things that I was doing or responsible for, and then now I'm home.
Right.
And I'm missing that really nice paycheck and the gas card and the car or the truck that I had, and the benefits and everything. And it was but I did have 2 small children, so I was able to be home with them now. And I also had started a photography business. I had started that before I quit my other job, so it was growing, so it gave me time to really kind of focus on that, and I started doing more with that, and that was some decent, it was some residual income coming in, and it grew. I did well with that for several years. And then that's kind of when I just realized after I got home, it did give me more time to kind of focus on things that I had never focused on before, and I've talked about this a lot, but that's really when I realized that I had these other passions that I didn't know I had, or gifts, or whatever you want to call it, calling. I don't know. One was a photography, and then one was writing, and I had never taken an interest in writing, but I just started feeling like I had things I wanted to share about what I was learning on the farm, and what the farm was teaching me, basically, because it really teaches a lot.
Right.
So that's when I started a little blog and started writing and sharing that on social media, and then when things led to another, and I kind of share a lot now, but that's kind of where it started. I feel like I got quiet and still enough to kind of look inward and see what else it was, what more there was for me. because I've always felt like there was more. It's like, I don't want to be a feed salesman my whole life, but I didn't know what, what the other thing might be. And I still don't. I mean, I just kind of, I feel like my life, I'm more of a fly by the seat of my pants kind of person. I'm not a, I'm not a very good planner. I don't have this like 5-year, 10-year, 20-year kind of plan. I'm just not built that way. I just kind of go with it. I'm like, okay, this is what we're doing right now.
Yep.
And then, next would be like, I guess I'm more of a dreamer. I mean, my husband's the realist. I'm the dreamer.
Really?
So sometimes we do this and sometimes we do this. And, it works out in the wash,
Yeah, it takes all kinds, and sometimes those are the best teams when everybody
Right.
has their own
Yeah.
view and vision.
It keeps me grounded. Yeah.
Yes,
It keeps me grounded. And then I keep him surprised.
There you go.
I can't believe you're doing this. I can't believe you're actually selling things, or I can't believe people are watching YouTube. Yeah. So you just go with it.
And since you actually just mentioned YouTube, let's talk about that a little bit, because I kind of feel like you were kind of paved the road maybe for some people as far as not Instagram, Instagram too, but social media types of things, as far as kind of starting to share your story and open up that world for people who maybe would have no idea. Would you say your audience is mostly ag people, or is it kind of common consumer? What does your audience look like?
I think a lot of my audience either is involved in ag, or they certainly have an appreciation for it, or they have been in the past.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of people that watch and say, I like watching your channel because it reminds me of my granddad or my family farm that I had to move away from, or we didn't get to keep, or I didn't actually go into that field, but it kind of takes me back home. And, it's just kind of like a feel good thing, I think. Right. And then I have people that also aren't involved at all that are telling me, I'm sitting in an apartment in New York and I would never have been exposed to any of this. Like, I've never been to a farm and I'm learning things that I've never seen before. Or, I'm learning where the steak I eat comes from, and getting to see how much work goes into, a family farm and keeping things going to keep food and fiber in the marketplace in the world. And that's like very rewarding. I love when I hear stories like that from people that are truly learning,
Absolutely.
and getting to see things that they never have before.
Right. Yeah. And with that too, I guess, do you have, I know as agriculture advocates, there's a lot of backlash sometimes on people who, don't agree with maybe what things we're doing. Do you find that that's a lot? Do you get a lot of that, or is it pretty positive for the most part?
I do not get a lot of that. Good. I really don't. Knock on wood.
I know, right?
I have friends who get an awful lot of that, especially dairy. My dairy friends, I feel like they get a whole lot of that from activists. I honestly can count on like one hand how many of those things that I've gotten. I don't know. They haven't trolled me yet. They haven't found me, or maybe I'm not putting out stuff that's seemingly too controversial. I don't know, but I don't get a lot of that. I get, 98, 99% of the comments I get are very positive, and people asking questions, and it's gotten harder to try to keep up with all of that and really engage with everybody, but I try. And that gives me good ideas too. When somebody asks questions, I'm like, oh, that's something I need to show or talk about in another video and expand on that. I get that a lot. So that helps kind of know where to focus and what to show, because I know in the beginning I would just show stuff, that we were doing. And I feel like a lot of times in ag, I don't know, sometimes we take things for granted that we know and that we do on a daily basis, and we just assume the rest of the world knows what we're doing, right, or why we're doing it, why we're doing it the way we're doing it. And for instance, we have cattle and we fall calve and then we feed them through the winter, and we have to keep them up in pretty small lots so we can feed them easily. Well, the last few years we've had tremendous amounts of rain through the winter for some reason. And it's been very muddy. And so trying to like explain, why the cows are staying in the mud and this is how we have to feed them and why we can't just put them out to pasture and, stuff like that.
Right.
So I have to like really be considerate of what I show and how I show it and how I explain it to make sure that people understand why we're doing things the way we do them.
Right. Yeah, I know. I think that's one thing too I've struggled with is, I'll say the word like even heifer, and then someone will be like, okay, what the heck is a
Oh,
heifer?
yeah.
Yeah, you just like
Yeah.
kind of, so I found that I just have to like start from the basics and build up
Yeah.
because you have to kind of assume people don't know anything. I think
That's very true. It's very true.
from
Uh-huh.
an education standpoint.
That's right. Yeah, it's true. I've gotten that too. Having to explain exactly what a heifer is and a steer. And yeah, when we castrate our bull calves, and then, because I'll use other language, I'm like, we're changing their minds today. What do you mean?
Yeah.
That's my husband's report. Well, this is what we're doing, and this is why. And every animal on our farm has a job. And if it doesn't get bred, or it can't breed, or it doesn't have a live calf, then we have to get rid of them because that's our paycheck. Like,
Right.
they are animals and we take care of them. They come first, basically
Absolutely.
all the time. But it is a business and you have to treat it like that. And sometimes there's a fine line with that when you're showing everything to the world. Like we just had a bottle calf, and I showed him from day one, and he was named, and a lot of people got attached to Elmo.
Yeah.
And Elmo had a happy ending because of you two, because
Right.
a viewer ended up purchasing him to use as a herd bull, but that was not going to be Elmo's fate
Right.
had that not happened. And people, it's just hard to kind of draw that line sometimes, and for other people to understand who aren't actually in our line of work sometimes.
Absolutely. Yeah, and actually I'm just now thinking of this. I don't know if I've even said anything on my page about like commercial cattle. Would you maybe kind of mind describing like what are commercial cattle and kind of what their purposes are, especially kind of true
Yeah.
to your operation?
Like what we do? Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I say commercial, we don't have purebred. Our animals aren't purebred. We do, most of our bulls are purebred Angus bulls, and our cows are black or black and white, what we'd call a baldy, but they're not registered. There's no papers or anything like that. In the area where we live, we get better pay for selling calves that are black hided. And I don't really know why, but we just do. So it's not that we have anything against other breeds or red Angus or anything like that, but that's what we get. We get paid more for that, so that's what we raise. And so we run black cows and our Angus bulls, and we breed them January and February. So we have an actual breeding season. We try to keep it at 60 days, and then they calve October and November. And so then once they calve, the babies stay on their mama until typically May. We usually wean and sell our calves in May. This year it's very different because when COVID hit, the prices went way down, and we decided we didn't want to like literally give them away.
Right.
So we're feeding them through the summer, and we're going to end up, hopefully things are going to rebound some, and we'll sell them as heavier calves that have been fed in the fall. So, but that's basically it. So yeah, the term we use is our calf crop is our cash crop. That's our once a year paycheck that we have to spread throughout the whole year to buy feed, and which we try to raise most of our feed, but of course there's a lot of cost involved in raising feed between seed and chemicals and fuel and tractor, keeping everything going. And on our farm, we run old equipment that's paid for.
Right.
That my husband's a very good mechanic, and he works on basically everything himself. And we did the same thing with that combine. We bought a very old combine and have got it going and trying to keep it going. But so I don't know, does that answer?
Yeah,
Is
no,
that kind of,
that's perfect. Yeah, I was just kind of sitting here thinking, there's probably some people watching that we're talking about
oh
commercial
yeah,
cattle, and they're like, "What the heck is that?"
it's commercial.
Yeah, are
Yeah,
they on
yeah.
TV?
What kind of commercial? I know. I don't really know where that term actually came from or
I
anything, but yeah.
know. But yeah, no, that was perfect. So thank you for that. Switching gears a little bit, you are known for your butter and skillet recipes. So what is
Yeah.
maybe one of your favorite recipes that you've either created or come across through
Um,
all of that?
well, I guess the one that I talk about a lot and actually I really do owe it to my husband for teaching me how to cook is steak and skillet. That's kind of my, I mean, if I could have that every night, that's what we would do, but
Right.
we don't have that many steaks in the freezer. Yeah, I don't, and that whole thing, I just started sharing when I would cook that, and a lot of people just kind of went
Crazy
nuts.
over
So
it.
I'm like, well, yeah, and people were like, I've never seen that done, or I've never heard of that. I'm like, oh, well, you need to try this.
Yeah.
And butter, I mean, butter does make everything better.
Oh man, yes,
So
it does.
I just love some real butter. And my husband has just always been real butter, whole milk. And I mean, I was raised on country crock and 2% milk, okay?
Mhm.
But I've seen the error of my ways, and my
You've
children have
evolved.
had nothing but whole milk and real butter since they were born. Um, so yeah, and the more I've cooked with the skillet, they're his old skillets. They're skillets that were passed down to him. I just love cooking with them, and I've thrown almost everything else away. It's just there's not much that can't be cooked in the skillet, and it's just become a preferred method of doing things. And I love sharing with people, and then hearing other people, I bought my first skillet and I'm doing it and I love it. And I mean, that's the fun part to me. It's like, I didn't invent cooking
Right.
steak in a
Right.
skillet.
Right.
People have said that. I'm like, no, I'm not the first person to ever do this. I've just talked about it. And other people, how that just happens online. You kind of
Yeah.
you get labeled with something or known for something. And so, which I'm fine with that. I'm fine with being the butter lady. I went to farm shows this past winter and people would see me and say, "Aren't you the butter lady?" I'm like, well, I guess.
I do other
I need a
things, but
butter
yes, I
sponsor.
cook with butter.
We don't even have dairy cows. No dairy. We do have one. We have one dairy cow, one Jersey that we use as a nurse cow, but so
You're funny.
but yeah, it's been fun.
Yes, so if you're watching and you have not seen that, definitely go check that out because she has some great steaks made in a skillet with butter because like you said, butter makes everything better. And some really cute apparel that has
Yeah.
butter.
I got a towel that says that.
Oh, there's a towel.
Towels.
See, I need to check it out. I've seen the shirts.
I love a good one.
So like I kind of said earlier, I kind of consider you to be one of the forefront women that have kind of decided to share her story through social media and really advocate for agriculture through your platforms. What's maybe some advice you have for somebody kind of like me, who's kind of just starting on this journey and trying to kind of find my place in the community?
Yeah. I think first and foremost, the most important thing to do is it's kind of my tagline is to share your real, to just, keep things real.
Mm-hmm.
Your story, and I say this a lot, but your personal story matters, and the world will be better for hearing it and knowing it. And I guess the past year or so that I've gotten more followers and stuff, especially on YouTube, I've had to learn to even though like I said, there's very few negative comments. Sometimes those are the ones that like come out and
Right.
you
The only ones
just like, I just take so personally.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of the person I am. I wear my heart on my sleeve, and I never considered myself someone that got very offended. But then when I step back, I'm like, oh, well, I can be easily offended. If what this stranger on the internet told me is like, making me question everything in my life. I'm like, I've just really learned to I'm learning anyway, to take that stuff with a grain of salt and just realize we're all different and everybody comes from a different place, and we never know what somebody else is going through when that kind of thing pops up. But I do think it's important to be real, to share. I do think it's important for people to share because, like you mentioned earlier, there's so many people out there that want to tell our story for us that don't have our best interest or agriculture's best interest at heart. So it's always good to have positive, encouraging voices out there sharing their story. I also think it's great for people to realize that even if they're not totally comfortable sharing their story, I think it's important for people to have a place somewhere online, to find somewhere that they, enjoy spending time and can reshare other people that are sharing their story. You know what I'm saying? I just feel like the more we can kind of come together and magnify the voice of agriculture and what we're doing and how we're doing it in a positive way, that is a good thing. YouTube is not for everyone. Instagram's not for everyone. Facebook's not for everyone. Twitter's not for everyone. But I think it's important to find somewhere and have some sort of a presence, and be a voice in some way to help magnify all our voices.
Yes, absolutely. I think, spot on with that. I through this, I've kind of tried to figure out the best way, at least to kind of share my side of things. And I think through hearing other people and talking to other people, kind of relate it back to themselves and kind of how they've done it, really shows that everybody, like you said, everybody has their own story, and it's only truthful for when it comes from you, and to share your reality. So thank you for that. And then kind of last little thing here to wrap us up today, I kind of just usually do, if you have anything you would like to share, kind of a blanket statement or anything, whether to agriculture knowledgeable people or non, what's something that you kind of want to say in closing just to kind of wrap us up today?
Well, I probably just said it.
I know, I should have planned that question sequence out a little better.
No, because it all kind of goes hand in hand, just with the importance of sharing your story and realizing that your story does matter and that we are all in this together and we are better together. Wish I had that tea on. I don't.
Yeah.
We're better. We're so much better together. And I guess that can sound cliche, but it's really so true. I just really feel like we are. And speaking just to ag people for a second, I feel like sometimes some people in the community can get defensive or whatever towards other people, but I just want us all to realize that we're all in this together and we all do things differently, and that doesn't make it right or wrong. What works for my farm might not work for your farm or ranch or whatever, but we're all working towards the greater goal. We're all doing our best to keep our businesses and our families thriving and going, and to do our part to help feed and clothe the world. And we're needed, and we're needed together. And so I just really hope we can continue to see our community come together so that we can be a positive voice and we can help bridge that gap between the consumer and the farmer and the rancher. So I guess all.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. So Meredith, thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Allie. This was fun.
Yes, this was great, and I hope those who are watching or listening got something out of this. And make sure you go follow Meredith for all of her stories, and then also, you can't miss out on the Skillet cooking now that if you didn't know about it.
That's right. I got 2 channels. I actually opened up created another whole channel for cooking. So that's been fun.
There you go. There you go. Now there's no excuse to miss out on it.
That's right. Go find me, connect. If I don't know you, send me a message, shout out something. Yeah. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.